The entire celebrity world has just been flipped upside down, set on fire, and hurled off a cliff. Because what erupted tonight between Chrissy, Camron, and Jim Jones is not just another messy rumor, it is the kind of scandal that makes seasoned insiders clutch their chests and whisper, "This can't be real." But it is. And the shockwaves are already tearing through hip-hop history like a bomb detonated at the center of Harlem itself. Because after years of silence, Jim Jones has finally cracked open the vault he swore he'd take to the grave. And when he did, the truth didn't just come out. It screamed. It bled. It dragged Chrissy and Camron's names straight into the spotlight with the force of a supernova. Fans are spinning, blogs are melting down, and insiders are panicking because this isn't just drama. This is betrayal at an apocalyptic scale. What Jim revealed on that live meltdown wasn't in slip. It was a confession soaked in heartbreak, rage, and a truth so explosive the internet is still trying to recover. He said he kept this secret hidden for years because the betrayal wasn't just romantic, it was personal, political, and possibly orchestrated. And now whispers say his son knew, Chrissy knew, Cam knew, everyone but US knew, until tonight. And just when you think this scandal can't possibly get any darker, a leaked voicemail allegedly Camron's hints at a truth never meant to be public. But tonight, everything is public, and nothing will ever be the same. From the moment Jim Jones' voice cracked on that live stream, the entire atmosphere shifted, not just in the room, not just online, but across the entire culture. It felt like history folding in on itself. Because behind that single trembling breath was a secret he had buried so deep, so violently, that even the people closest to him thought it had died years ago. But it didn't. It festered. It grew teeth. And tonight, it finally broke loose. He started by saying he hadn't planned to do this. He wasn't here to expose anyone. But then the comments started flooding in. People joking, bringing up old rumors, tossing Chrissy and Camron's names around like it was harmless. And that was the moment something inside him snapped. His eyes shifted, his shoulders tightened. And suddenly this wasn't entertainment anymore. This was a man drowning in a truth he could no longer contain. She never told me the truth about that night. Not once. Not ever. That was the first sentence. And instantly, the entire chat froze. Thousands of fans stopped typing mid-sentence. The hosts stopped smiling. Even the audio felt like it paused. Because that night wasn't just a phrase, it was the phrase. The one rumor that had lingered for years, silent but alive, waiting for someone brave enough or broken enough to drag it into the daylight. And then Jim kept talking. He said he remembered Chrissy coming home late, acting off, saying the party ran long. He didn't push it. He trusted her. But then whispers started months later, whispers about her and Camron in a back room. Too close, too familiar, disappearing for just long enough to shift the energy of the whole event. But honestly, Jim said he didn't want to believe it. He refused. Because if he believed it, everything he built, Dipset, the brotherhood, the loyalty, it all shattered. But here's where the story detonates. Jim revealed he didn't stay silent out of dignity or denial. He stayed silent because someone he trusted told him the truth would destroy him. Someone who said Cam had stepped way over a line, and Chrissy wasn't innocent in the slightest. Someone who claimed to have seen messages, deleted messages, that pointed to something deeper, more strategic, something that went beyond flirting or cheating, something that looked like planning. That alone was enough to set the internet ablaze. But then Jim dropped the second bomb. His son knew. According to Jim, his son overheard a conversation years ago, Chrissy whispering to a friend about that night and how things got messy with Cam. Jim said he remembered hearing his son ask, "Why were you with Uncle Cam when Daddy wasn't there?" And Chrissy froze. Completely froze. The kind of freeze only guilt can cause. Jim said something in that moment felt wrong, but he buried it. He didn't want to be the man who accused the woman he loved of betraying him with a man he considered family. But secrets have gravity, and tonight, That gravity finally crushed him. As he spoke, commenters went wild. Some begged him to stop. Others screamed for receipts. Others claimed they heard rumors about that voicemail long before it surfaced. Still, Jim kept unraveling. He said the betrayal wasn't just emotional, it was a betrayal of loyalty, of legacy, of everything Dipset stood for. He described moments where business deals suddenly went sideways, where money vanished, where trust evaporated without warning. Eventually, he began connecting dots, patterns he ignored for years, coincidences that weren't coincidences at all. And then, almost like the universe itself wanted chaos, the leaked voicemail dropped online. No one knows exactly who posted it first. Some say a burner account. Others say an anonymous insider who had been holding it for years. But one thing is certain, the moment the audio hit the internet, everything changed. Because the voice in that voicemail, calm, low, unmistakably Harlem, sounded a whole lot like Camron. And what he said wasn't just cryptic, it was chilling. Some things ain't meant to be public, but the truth always finds its way out. People replayed the clip hundreds of times, slowed it down, boosted the audio, analyzed the breath patterns. And the more they listened, the more convinced they became that this wasn't some AI fake or fan-made remix. This sounded real. Too real. And then, another leak surfaced, a text message screenshot allegedly from someone in Cam's circle, saying he warned her this would happen. Who is he? Who is her? The internet went into detective overdrive, dissecting every pixel, every timestamp, every font. Some swore it was legit, others screamed fake. But everyone agreed, something massive was unraveling. Meanwhile, Chrissy's silence only made things worse. She didn't deny anything, she didn't defend herself, she didn't speak Jim's name once. Instead, she posted a single, icy quote to her Instagram story. Loyalty reveals itself when the world turns on you. No explanation, no context, just a calm, controlled dagger tossed into a wildfire. And that's exactly when Dipset fans split. Half said Jim was spiraling, emotional, projecting old wounds into new problems. Half said Chrissy was manipulative, playing the victim while hiding a truth she hoped would never resurface. And then there were the conspiracy theorists, the ones who pointed at Cam and said he had been too quiet for too long, that his silence was strategic, that he knew something the rest of the world didn't. And the craziest part? They might be right. Because within hours of the voicemail leaking, insiders came forward with new accusations. They said Chrissy and Cam weren't just involved that night, they had been communicating for years. Secret calls, deleted texts, meetings disguised as business. Whispers said Chrissy had confided in Cam during a rough patch with Jim. But instead of support, things got complicated, too complicated. Lines blurred, feelings crossed. And suddenly, Cam wasn't just the friend, he was the confidant, the fallback, the temptation in the shadows. But the darkest twist? Someone claims to have footage, actual video from that night at the private industry party. Not public footage, not surveillance footage, personal footage. Recorded by someone who shouldn't have been filming in the first place. A clip that allegedly shows Chrissy and Cam disappearing behind a velvet curtain, hands touching, faces too close, expressions too familiar. The person who claims to have the clip hasn't released it yet, but they said one thing: when the timing is right, the world will see. And if that drops, everything changes. But the real turning point, the moment that shifted this story from rumor to disaster, came when Jim admitted he recently discovered Chrissy was back in contact with Cam. Not by accident, not for business, but secretly, privately. Quiet conversations behind closed doors. And according to Jim, that discovery was the final fracture. The betrayal he could no longer swallow. The knife he didn't see coming. So he broke. Live. Publicly. Catastrophically. He unleashed every suppressed emotion he'd buried for years. And, with every word, every tremor in his voice, every tear he tried to fight off, the world realized this wasn't just a man collapsing, it was a dynasty cracking at its foundation. And then came the cliffhanger that no one, not even his co-hosts, saw coming. Jim ended the live stream with one sentence. "You think that voicemail was bad? You ain't heard the real recording yet." And that was the moment everything went silent. The moment Jim ended that live stream with those final words, the internet erupted into pure, uncontrollable hysteria. People weren't just reacting, they were unraveling. What real recording? How much worse could it get? What could possibly be more explosive than a leaked voicemail that already sounded like Camron hinting at buried secrets? But the truth was simple. Nobody had any idea how deep the cracks went. And the deeper people dug, the darker it got. Because right after the live stream ended, something strange happened. Multiple anonymous accounts posted at the exact same time, same minute, same second, claiming they had heard the real recording Jim referenced. They described it as volatile, terrifying, career-ending, the kind of argument that doesn't just expose secrets, but burns entire histories to ash. No one had the audio yet, but the descriptions spreading across Reddit, Twitter, and Discord painted a picture so intense, it didn't even seem real. One alleged insider wrote, "If this recording drops, Dipset is finished. Not just Jim and Cam, the whole legacy." Another posted, "I heard her voice. I heard his voice. If the world hears it too, everything changes." That was enough. The theories multiplied like wildfire. Some said the recording was Jim confronting Chrissy in private, demanding she admit what happened that night. Others claimed it captured Chrissy confessing something even darker, something that connected not just to Cam, but to money, deals, and alliances she'd been hiding for years. And then there were the wildest claims, the ones whispered in the corners of hip-hop circles, that the recording captured Cam and Chrissy together, arguing about something they promised would never get out. But let's rewind. Because what triggered this avalanche wasn't just Jim's live stream or the voicemail. It was the leaks that dropped immediately afterward. First came the supposed text thread between someone in Cam's inner circle and an unnamed contact. The messages hinted that Cam warned her and tried to keep things quiet, but she pushed it too far. Fans dissected the text bubbles like sacred artifacts. They zoomed in, enhanced the pixels, analyzed the timestamps. And the deeper they dug, the more questions they raised. Who was being warned? Why did anyone need to keep things quiet? What exactly was pushed too far? Then came something bigger. A blurry photo surfaced. Chrissy and Cam in the same room at what appeared to be a dimly lit studio, months after the alleged fallout. They weren't touching, they weren't talking, but they were there together, and Jim allegedly had no idea this meeting ever happened. The timing alone sent shockwaves. If this photo was real, it meant Chrissy had kept up a connection with Cam long after promising she had cut him off. And that, for fans, was the match that ignited an inferno. But the internet wasn't satisfied with photos and whispers. They wanted blood. They wanted receipts. They wanted the full truth. And that's when the anonymous caller came forward. A woman claiming to be at the infamous industry party that night posted a voice message describing what she saw. Her story was shaky, breathless, terrified. She said Chrissy and Cam had slipped away from the crowd not once, but twice. That whispers spread instantly. That people noticed the tension between them. Not playful tension, but charged, dangerous, forbidden tension. She even claimed she saw them arguing in a hallway minutes before Chrissy returned to the main room, acting frazzled, rearranged, and shaken. Whether she was telling the truth or chasing clout didn't matter. The damage was done. The narrative was spiraling too fast for anyone to pull it back. Meanwhile, Chrissy's strategy, if it was a strategy, was silence, not denial, not confrontation, not clarity. Pure, cold silence. And in the world of public scandal, silence is gasoline. Every hour she didn't speak, the story grew teeth. Fans demanded she address the voicemail, the rumors, the live stream. Instead, she posted another cryptic quote, "People break their own hearts by holding on to what broke them." What did it mean? Who was breaking whose heart? Fans exploded with interpretations, theories, accusations, and then, almost like she wanted every eyeball glued to her next move, Chrissy deactivated her comments. That only made the frenzy worse. But the biggest twist came from the unlikeliest source, Jim's son. A new leak, supposedly from a private conversation overheard in a group chat, claimed that he had confronted Chrissy directly years ago, demanding to know why she was with Cam that night. And according to the leak, Chrissy snapped at him, telling him to stay out of grown folks' business. That line alone caused an uproar. People weren't just shocked, they were livid. Because if a kid had witnessed something all those years ago, that meant Jim's meltdown wasn't just emotional. It was generational trauma, resurfacing in real time. And just when the world thought the situation couldn't get any more volatile, a new layer of betrayal surfaced. Months before this livestream, Jim allegedly discovered financial irregularities in one of their shared ventures. Money missing, accounts accessed late at night, transactions routed through unfamiliar names. At first, he thought it was a hacker. Then, paperwork surfaced. Then, signatures. Then, Cam's name allegedly appeared in an email chain tied to a deal Jim never approved. This wasn't confirmed, not publicly, but the timing was catastrophic. If true, it meant the betrayal wasn't emotional or romantic. It was business. Legacy. Power. That was the third strike, and Jim wasn't surviving this one quietly. Insiders close to him said he had been unraveling for weeks, losing sleep, snapping at people around him, replaying old conversations, rereading messages he once ignored, trying to understand how two of the closest people in his life could possibly be linked in a betrayal so deep it shook him into silence for years. And in that silence, he built walls until they finally cracked on livestream for the whole world to see. But the chaos wasn't done, because hours after the voicemail leak, something far more chilling surfaced. A 30-second clip of audio, low quality, muffled, barely decipherable, but unmistakably tense. Two voices, one sounding like Jim, one sounding like Chrissy, locked in an argument that clearly wasn't meant for public ears. The clip cut off abruptly, but in those 30 seconds the internet heard shouting, accusations, and one line that sent fans into madness. You said it wasn't supposed to happen like that. What wasn't supposed to happen? The betrayal? The fallout? The leak? Something bigger? And then, as if the universe wanted to twist the blade deeper, a final post appeared from a brand new anonymous account. No profile picture, no followers, no history, just one message. The real recording drops soon, and when it does, you'll understand everything. The entire internet froze. Screenshots spread like wildfire. People begged for details. Others panicked. Others celebrated. But everyone agreed, something massive was coming. Something that would either confirm every rumor or obliterate everything we thought we knew. And right as speculation reached its peak, Camron himself broke his silence, but not with words. With a single, infuriatingly cryptic message: timing is everything. No video, no explanation, no denial. Just a sentence that felt like a calm before a nuclear explosion. And that was when people realized this wasn't just a scandal, it was a countdown. And the clock had just started ticking. Because if the real recording actually exists, then the next leak won't just expose a betrayal. It could destroy careers, friendships, families, and a legacy built over decades. And the internet is waiting, breath held for the moment everything finally blows apart. The entire internet was in a chokehold, waiting, refreshing, speculating, spiraling, because once that anonymous account announced the real recording was coming, everything else became background noise. People weren't even arguing anymore. They were bracing. Because if the voicemail shook the culture, and the muffled 30-second argument clip cracked the foundation, then whatever this final recording contained, it wasn't just going to expose the truth. It was going to incinerate it. Hours turned into a full day turned into 2. Each minute intensified the panic. News outlets ran segments. Podcasts recorded emergency episodes. Twitter turned into a war zone of theories, fan threads, alleged insider leaks, and conspiracies connecting dots no one even noticed existed before. And just when the tension reached the point of suffocation, boom, it dropped. Not publicly, not onto YouTube, not on TikTok, no. It leaked through a locked Discord server that someone immediately screen recorded and blasted across the world within minutes. And once that link hit Twitter, everything imploded. Because the recording wasn't just an argument. It wasn't just a confession. It wasn't just a fight. It was a full-on emotional detonation, caught raw, brutal, unfiltered, and devastating in every possible way. The audio begins with heavy breathing, not anger, but fear. Fear thick enough to choke on. Then comes Jim's voice, trembling, guarded, but sharp enough to cut through a wall. Just tell me the truth, Chrissy. Tell me what really happened that night. Her pause is long. Too long. 30 seconds of silence. Broken only by her shaky inhale. And then she says something no one was ready for. I wasn't supposed to be alone with him. That one sentence sent shockwaves through the room, the internet, the entire culture. Not supposed to be alone? Meaning what? Someone arranged it? Someone planned it? Someone wanted it? Jim presses her, voice cracking, desperate, broken. Did you go back there on purpose? Another silence, this one loaded, suffocating. Then Chrissy whispers, I didn't plan it, but I didn't stop it. The online reaction was instant. People screamed, cried, collapsed into threads like digital casualties. Because that wasn't a denial. That wasn't even a partial confession. That was acknowledgement. Acknowledgement that something truly happened that night. Something real. Something she had been denying, dodging, avoiding for years. But it got worse. Because then Jim asks, was it just that night? Tell me the truth. Don't make me find out from someone else. Chrissy doesn't answer. Instead, another voice enters the audio, distant, but unmistakable. Camron? You knew what it was, he says, voice calm, almost weary, like someone who's tired of hiding. We all made choices that night. The internet couldn't handle it. People screamed at their phones, posts exploded, whole timelines melted. Because this wasn't speculation anymore. This wasn't rumor. Cam was in the room. He was speaking. He was confirming something in real time, something that wasn't supposed to exist. Jim explodes in the audio, raw fury pouring out of him. You were my brother, Cam. My brother. How could you do that to me? Chrissy tries to calm him, but her voice cracks. Cam tries to explain, but his words only make everything worse. It wasn't supposed to go this far. Fans rewound that sentence hundreds of times. Wasn't supposed to go this far? What was supposed to happen? What was planned? Who planned it? Why did it escalate? The conspiracy machine ignited instantly. People claimed Chrissy and Cam were involved in more than emotional betrayal. They speculated this tied back to the business deals, the missing money, the quiet meetings, the cryptic messages. They said this wasn't just a private moment, it was evidence of a long-term secret alliance forming behind Jim's back. But the recording wasn't done. At one point, Chrissy breaks, her voice shattering into sobs. I didn't know how to tell you. She cries. I didn't mean to hurt you. I didn't mean for any of this to happen. Jim screams back, voice cracking in a way that felt too real, too painful for public consumption. You didn't mean to? You didn't mean to? Then why did you keep seeing him after that night? There it was. Confirmation of the rumors. Confirmation that this didn't end at one party. One moment. One mistake. There were aftershocks. Meetings. Conversations. Something deeper. Chrissy tries to explain, but her words crumble. She doesn't deny it. She doesn't correct him. She doesn't defend herself. She just cries. Cam tries to intervene again, voice low, almost pleading. Jim, it was complicated. You don't understand the position she was in. You don't know everything. That set the internet on fire. Because why was Cam speaking for her? Why was he defending her? Why was he inserting himself into the middle of a couple's implosion? More importantly, why did he say the position she was in? What position? Who put her there? And why? The final minute of the recording is chaos, yelling, crying, overlapping voices, something breaking in the background, Jim shouting, "Get out!" over and over, Chrissy sobbing, and Cam saying, "This is why I didn't want this happening like this. This was never the plan." And then the clip ends. Silence. But outside that recording, the world exploded. Fan pages crashed. Hashtags trended globally. Reaction videos filmed in real time caught creators literally shaking. Lionel Luciano went on IG Live for 2 hours straight, breaking down the psychology of the betrayal. Even celebrities who had nothing to do with any of this chimed in. Rappers, influencers, actors, reality stars, everyone had an opinion. Some blamed Chrissy, calling her a mastermind, a manipulator, a strategist who used loyalty like currency. Others blamed Cam, saying he broke the ultimate street code, that he took advantage of the chaos and exploited emotional vulnerability. Others blamed Jim for airing it all publicly. And some, the loudest group, said the whole Dipset legacy was a facade built on loyalty that never truly existed. Meanwhile, new leaks kept dropping. DMs, voicemails, photos, rumored affidavits, anonymous testimonies, some real, some likely fake, all adding fuel to an inferno spiraling out of control. Chrissy tried to go live to explain, but her connection failed. Fans speculated she bailed halfway through because she was too emotional. Others said she panicked because she wasn't ready to face the world. Cam posted another cryptic line. "You only know one side." Jim posted nothing, not a word, not an emoji, not a story, just silence. And the silence was louder than the recordings. The industry is on edge. Dealerships are pulling sponsorships. Podcasts are navigating legal landmines. Label executives are allegedly discussing containment strategies, whatever that means. And insiders claim more recordings exist, even worse ones that will shatter the narrative in ways no one is prepared for. But the biggest question now isn't what happened that night. It isn't whether Chrissy and Cam crossed a line. It isn't even why Jim waited until now to explode. The real question is, if this is what leaked, what's still being hidden? Because according to the same anonymous account that posted the recording, there is one final piece, one last revelation that will destroy everything. A cliffhanger with teeth. A truth no one is ready to face. And apparently, it's coming. Now, before you even think about clicking away, understand this. You are witnessing a historic moment in real time. Stories like this don't just unfold, they erupt. They fracture legacies. They expose the cracks nobody wanted us to see. And if you've made it this far, if you felt your pulse spike with every twist, every leak, every betrayal that detonated across this saga, then you already know one thing for certain. This isn't ending tonight. The next drop, the next leak, the next revelation, could hit any second, and when it does, you need to be right here with us, not scrambling to catch up. So hit that like button right now. Not tomorrow, not after someone else breaks the news. Do it before the next shockwave hits. Drop your wildest theories in the comments. Every angle, every suspicion, every puzzle piece the world hasn't connected yet. Because trust me, we're watching them, and the insiders are watching too. And if you've been shouting at your screen this whole time, demanding justice, clarity, truth, then you need to subscribe immediately and turn notifications on. Don't risk being the last person to know when the final bomb drops. This story is spiraling towards something bigger, darker, and more dangerous than anyone expected. And when the truth finally hits daylight, you do not want to be the one who missed it. Stay locked in. Stay alert. Stay ready. Because the next chapter could break the internet. And you'll want a front row seat when it does.